What is going on, y'all? Site Perspectives, GeoFlux here. And for the third year, the USA birth rates have declined again for the third year. And me personally, I look at that as good news. Because to me, that means people are making logical decisions. And they're not out here having unwanted kids in horrible conditions and environments. So to me, less is more. So I'm actually happy to see that the USA birth rate continues to decline. And then what gets me is how people try to act so surprised. Oh my God, how come people aren't having kids? Well, number one, women and people who can give birth are not here just to be baby incubators. Their life has a lot more value than just popping out kids. Number two, have you not looked at the state of the world? The state of the country, the state of the world? It's pretty shitty. Okay, like, if we're looking at the USA, the cost of living continues to increase. Wages and salaries never reflect that. Inflation is never taken into consideration when it comes to your wages and salaries. A lot of us are still being paid the same low and stagnant wages from 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago. Despite the fact that everything around us, from food, shelter, housing, clothing, water, gas, utilities, electricity, everything has increased double to triple what it used to cost. Yet your wages and salaries are not double or triple at all. It's the same low and stagnant salaries and wages. Then you're literally in how many different wars internationally? I mean, with Iran, you're funding Israel's war with Iran, Lebanon, Palestine. You're trying to you're trying to starve out people in Cuba. You're starting beef with Canada. You're literally instigating all of these wars. You're literally just announced the other day that they're going to make it where the minute a cisgender male ages 18 to 25, right? The minute a cisgender male turns 18, they're going to automatically be registered for selective service, which is just a nice way of saying that we're just gonna, get you prepared for the possibility of going to war. Because technically, cisgender males were always supposed to be registering for selective service when they turned 18. But obviously, if nobody's enforcing that, then guess who's not going to be doing it? And now, as of yesterday, with your Secretary of War, Department of War, Pete Hegseth announced that, oh, don't worry about that. We're just going to automatically have you enrolled when you turn 18 if you're a cisgender male. And also, last week, they increased the enlistment age from 36 to 42. So even if you're out of the age group of 18 to 25 and you just happen to be a cisgender male, and say you're in your 30s, guess what? You're still eligible to be enlisted. Imagine that, right? So again, why aren't people having kids? Oh, wow. It takes money. It takes a lot of money to properly take care of a child. Okay, right? And then if you got to worry about your, parent, father, parent, mother, parent being sent off in a draft to fight in a war and potentially being murdered and killed, why would they be having kids? Or, if you have to worry about trying to afford rent when rent is $1,000+ a month, and let's just be real, rent is $1,500 and up per month. Even in my hometown, y'all, there are places going for $2,100 in my hometown. Unbelievable. But yeah, people can't afford that when, the federal minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour. Nearly 17 years later, it's been the same $7.25 an hour at the federal level since July of 2009. So when I see that for the third year, USA birth rates are declining, and I believe there was like 700,000 plus less babies being born for this year, that's actually a good sign. That's a good thing. Because common sense, logic, I'm not even gonna say common sense, logic will tell you, why are you having children when you can barely afford to take care of yourself? Quite frankly, if more of the Gen Xers and baby boomers would have took that same approach, a lot of us could have avoided a lot of unnecessary suffering and trauma. And that's just looking at it from a financial standpoint, because it takes money to take care of a human. So, if you're looking at a child, you gotta have money. You gotta have time. Again, if everybody has to work 3 and 4 jobs to barely make ends meet, who has time to take care of the baby, to raise the baby, to take care of the children? Who has time for all of that? You got a full-time job, you got a part-time job, you got a side hustle, you got to donate plasma, you got to rob Peter to pay Paul, you got to hop in your car and drive around wasting gas to deliver for Instacart and Uber Eats and DoorDash, and gas is $4 and up a gallon. Because of who? Oh, that's right, because in the USA, President Trump, under his administration, second term, has decided we're going to have war with Iran. So, again, to me, the declining birth rate is a positive. Not to mention, you have enough people here. There's people here that are suffering, that are homeless, that are starving, that are dying. Why are you trying to bring more humans to a horrible ass country and to a horrible ass planet? Is beyond me. That's how, like I said in my other video, I am pretty much convinced that for some, arguably most Christians in the USA, y'all have a torture kink. Like, y'all get off on the suffering of others, because literally everything about y'all is about somebody going to hell, they gonna suffer because of this, and it's because of that sin. And the whole thing is, let's have more humans so more people can live in poverty. Let's have more children that nobody actually wants, because that's the other thing. A lot of these kids are unwanted pregnancies. This is not somebody actively planning on being a parent, giving birth, and having children. These are mistakes. And forcing people to have kids they don't want, and then being surprised that kids end up being abused, harmed, murdered, killed, and suffering is ridiculous, because you're setting it up for it to be that way. You don't even want to publicly fund our public education system. You don't want to provide universal health care so people can actually take care of themselves and if someone is giving birth, they're gonna need a doctor. They're going to need medical care. They're going to need health care, something that you don't want people to have. They're going to need housing, shelter, something you don't want people to have. They're going to need clean, affordable, and healthy and safe drinking water, something that you don't want people to have. Again, all of the things that you need in order for there to be children and families and people thriving, you don't want people to have. And then you want to sit up and blame people for not having kids. People are making a logical decision. And honestly, they're making an empathetic decision. Because why would I decide to have children? To bring them in this hell so they can suffer with me? And then another aspect of this is, have you not seen the dating scene? The dating pool has permanent, like, toxins in it. Like, in order for us to even get to the aspect of having children, not all of us, but for most people, they would need to have a relationship. And, you know, the dating scene is garbage for the vast majority of people. I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in repeating another cycle, another generation of trauma. Okay, I don't want children growing up not knowing where their dad is, not knowing where their mom is, not having loving, caring, empathetic, emotionally mature, and intelligent, and available parents and families. We have enough of that, okay? I don't want kids growing up in broken homes, growing up in poverty, lacking the support and resources that they need to thrive. I don't want that. So I'm happy that more people are making the decision not to have kids. Now, here's the other folks. Oh, but we're going to go extinct. Oh, the human race is going to go extinct. I mean, this is going to sound probably, negative and bad to some, but is that really a bad thing? I mean, humans have been destroying the planet for centuries. I think we don't really deserve to continue procreating to exist hundreds and thousands of years into the future. You have literally shown, humans have shown, probably not the best creation. Just saying. Okay, and then what's the point? Why do you want to have kids anyways? For you to kill them? Which is hilarious, right? Because you're always like, oh my God, we are anti-abortion, pro-life. How are you pro-life and then allowing poverty to exist? You're pro-life, but you don't want us to have quality food, fruits and vegetables. You don't want people to have health care. You don't want people to have housing. You don't want people to have money. You don't want people to have decent paying careers and jobs. You want everybody to be in debt. You don't want people to get good rest. Our entire lives are revolving working a job. So again, when do we have time to be adequate parents if we're wasting 40 hours or more every week at a job? Again, they set it up in a way for you not to be able to be, not for you to be able to take care of yourself, let alone get in a healthy relationship, let alone procreate and have kids and start a family. You don't, this is not the environment for that. This is the environment of suffering. This is the environment of lack. This is literal hell on earth for a lot of people. So honestly, and then also, huge shout out to women, intersex men, trans men, non-binary people. Huge shout out to women and people who have the ability of giving birth for having that boundary, standards, and bodily autonomy to say no to struggle. Because that's just it. A lot of us are products of our environment. A lot of us are literal living proof of what happens when you have kids that were unwanted to begin with. It's not a good time. It's not. It's a lot of unnecessary trauma and suffering. And we're looking at that and seeing what we experienced and seeing what we're still going through and thinking, you know what? I'm not about to introduce another human to that piss poor quality of life. Absolutely not. You can't blame people for making logical, rational, informed decisions on not procreating. And then also, if you're dealing with cisgender males, best group to be trying to have kids with. I'm just gonna be real, because the likelihood of you being a single parent dealing with that demographic is rather high. Now granted, are all cis males bad people or deadbeat dads? No. But overwhelmingly, it is what it is. So you really can't be too surprised that people are deciding, I don't want to be a single parent. I don't want to have to take care of a grown adult cisgender male and a kid. I don't want to have to struggle unnecessarily. I don't want to have a child struggling because of how shitty our lives are. So let's just avoid all of that and not procreate. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's people making logical decisions for the first time in a long time for a lot of folks. And again, not only that, but you got to worry about the environment. Here it is. You having crazy weather because you don't want to believe in science. You don't want to, and this is what gets me. Y'all are so, the cognitive dissonance. Y'all support Artemis 2 and NASA, but then turn around and won't let trans people have gender affirming care and health care. But then turn around and talk about how you love science. Again, that's a whole nother video, but I'm just hitting it on the nail. The hypocrisy, the contradictions, the cognitive dissonance, the insanity of it all is enough to make anybody, in my opinion, that has intelligence, that is aware, that is logically thinking, it's probably best that I don't procreate in this type of chaos and dysfunction. So I don't blame anybody for saying absolutely not to having kids. I'm glad that the USA birth rate is decreasing. I'm glad. My thing is, when you decide to create an environment that actually is people-centered, that actually supports the people, then maybe then folks might want to have kids, start families. Maybe.